principalities is taken from the word that is Greek known as archai. It's an old word that is used symbolically to denote ancient times. It is also used to depict individuals who hold the highest and loftiest position of rank and authority. By using the word archai, Paul emphatically tells us that at the very top of Satan's kingdom are powerful evil beings that have held their lofty positions of power and authority since ancient times, probably ever since the fall of Lucifer. So I've ranked here, as you can see, the satanic order. I've mentioned many times that Satan is a copycat. He has an exact copy of what God has. So God has the kingdom of light, he has the kingdom of darkness, and he also has his angels arranged in the same way God would have them arranged. And as we can see, Lucifer is at the top of the pyramid here, but beneath him are the principalities. And I believe that the divine feminine, along with other spirits, form the same pantheon of pagan gods that were first articulated in Babylon. So just to lay the ground, set the foundation, Babylon is the home of all religion. It is the birthplace of the triad or triunity of gods. Christianity as we know it and its predecessor Judaism is monotheistic. God, his prophets and his apostles never describe God as free or they. He is not the holy three. He's always the Holy One. So let's go into Babylon very briefly. So when I'm referring to Babylon, just for context, I'll be using it as a blanket term for the Sumerians and the Akkadians, including Assyrians and Babylonians. These people dominated Mesopotamia from the beginning of written history. Mesopotamia is a historical region in West Asia, situated within the Tigris-Euphrates river system. In modern days, roughly corresponding to most of Iraq, Kuwait, parts of northern Saudi Arabia, the eastern parts of Syria, southeastern Turkey, and the regions along the Turkish-Syrian and Iraq borders. So I want to read you a quote here now by Werner Keller from The Bible as History. Virtually all pagan practices had their beginnings in the city of Babylon during the time of Nimrod. Ancient traditions show that he rebelled against God and in doing so created a worldwide apostasy. This is from Roderick C. Meredith from Satan's Counterfeit Christianity. Later, the Roman Empire assimilated into its system the gods and religions of other countries over which it ruled. Since Babylon was the source of this paganism, we can easily see how Rome's early religion was a form of Babylonish worship that had developed under different forms and different names in the countries to which it had gone. Not only has the original Babylonian religious system served as the source of all the world's non-Christian religions, but it has also infiltrated and corrupted Christendom to an alarming degree. That final quote was from Babylon Mystery Religion by Ralph Woodrow. So let me just go back to the word pantheon. So pantheon means all the gods or people of a religion collectively. So Babylon being the home of all pagan religion, it started with a pantheon of gods, and these pantheon of gods, I believe, like I said before, form Satan's principality spirits, the first and foremost of angels who fell with him from heaven. And he, in his order, had these angels as his right-hand men, so to speak, because as we know, Satan cannot be everywhere. He's not omnipotent, he's not omniscient, so he has to delegate authority, and they are second in command. So ancient Mesopotamian religion was the first recorded. Mesopotamians believed that the world was a flat disk surrounded by a huge hold space, and above that, heaven. They also believed that water was everywhere, the top, bottom, sides, and that the universe was born from this enormous sea. In addition, Mesopotamian religion was polytheistic. So the pantheon of these gods that came out of Mesopotamia actually form all the pagan gods we see throughout the ages. So Zeus and Horus and Osiris and the Hindu triads, Xingmu in China, Ganesh, all of these gods actually find their origin in the original pantheon of gods that were created in Babylon, and as we see them passed down into Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Egyptian religious worship, and all these kind of things, we have to understand this all started in Babylon, and it can all be traced. Mesopotamia came to the fore after the flood, and as we know, if we are believers, that this is where the origin of nations begin, and the dispensation of government starting in Genesis 10. And here we see Babel and Nimrod as its leader. Babylon was the first of what we would now call urban centers or city-states. Until Babylon, most of the human world lived closely in tribal societies composed of several families or clans. Babylon also introduced the centralization of religion instead of a rich tapestry of many different tribal belief systems. All people absorbed into Babylon were indoctrinated into a single religious system. This religion was built on a pyramid structure in which the priests held incredible social sway. The secrets of their religion, often termed mysteries, were reserved for only those priests at the top of the pyramid. All others in the priesthood were carefully chosen and inducted through a series of tests, mostly psychological in nature. So it is the home of modern civilization as we know it, and the home of religion. And this is biblical. If you don't believe the Bible, then this is of no use to you. But if you believe the Bible, then you must believe that, because this is clear and evident in the Bible, from the Tower of Babel when God confused languages. So now I want to read some passages to you from an interesting book I have called Babylonian and Assyrian Religion. And you're going to start to see now where I'm making the link between the origin of pagan religion, or the origin of every religion that is not a belief in Jesus Christ and his gospel, and the divine feminine. First in this established order appears the high god Anu, whose name in Sumerian means heaven, and who may be said to correspond to the Greek sky god Zeus. His sacred number was 60, and the heavenly equator was the special part of the heavens assigned to him. In the early period, Anu had a consort. A consort is like a partner or a wife, and the consort was a colorless entity without importance in the cult or mythology, but in the historical period, her place as the consort of Anu was filled by Inanna or Ishtar, the great goddess, who under various names and diverse forms was the most important object of worship in the ancient Near East. It was believed that from the union of Anu and Antu, whose Sumerian names means the earth, were born the underworld gods called Anunnaki and the seven evil Asaki or demons. Remember what I was saying about the original pantheon of gods coming from Babylon, and throughout the ages their names changing and them being different people or gods in the Greek mythology and Roman mythology and Egyptian religious worship. This is what I'm talking about. It's one spirit who throughout time has allowed itself to be called different names. These different gods who make up the pantheon of gods, who I say make up the principality spirits. So it also says here the second member of the great Babylonian triad of deities was Enlil or Elil, whose name in Sumerian means wind or storm god. He was specially associated with the city of Nippur and was like Anu, a Sumerian god who was adopted by invading Semites. In the earlier period before Hammurabi, Enlil seems to have taken precedence over the two other gods of the triad, but from the beginning of the second millennium onwards, his place is always the second. I'm going to fast forward now. It says, the third and most interesting of the first triad of great gods was Enki, or as he was generally called in later text, Ea. As Anu was the god of heaven, Enlil the god of the lands, i.e. of earth, so Enki came to be regarded as specially the god of the waters, and was thought of as having his abode in Aspu, or abyss of waters, the underworld ocean upon which, according to Babylonian cosmology, the world rested. A favorite designation of Enki or Ea was Bel Nimeki, or Lord of Wisdom, since he was regarded as the source of all secret magical knowledge. and the instructor of mankind in all the arts, crafts necessary for human well-being. I'm going to fast forward again. In the early lists, the figure of the mother goddess, known under various names as Ninmak, Nintu, Ninkushwasaga, and Aruru, was associated with the first great triad of gods. Her special function was concerned with childbirth. As Aruru, she was associated with Enlil or Ea in the creation of mankind. Let me stop there. Two things. I told you that the triad or triunity of gods comes from Babylon, does not come from Christianity. God never referred to himself as anything but one. Neither did anybody who spoke for God. So that's one thing.